Hello, everybody. Assuming that you're watching. If you're not watching, then hello anyway. Lesson number 4 of the one finger at a time piano lessons, and these are real piano lessons. And I think if you like the idea but you're finding it difficult, doesn't matter. Stick with it because you have to keep practicing these things. And so. It's a bit like riding a bicycle. You know, if you've never ridden a bicycle and you see somebody up there on 2 wheels, it's impossible to imagine how they can do that without just falling over. But once you ride a bike yourself, it's the easiest thing in the world. And it's the same thing with piano. Once you've been doing it for a long time, the difficult things get figured out and you absorb them and they're not problems anymore, and you move on to trickier things, and it'll keep you going for the rest of your life, really. But some of the earliest concepts for someone who's beginning are difficult to get a hold on, and coordination is something you have to work at and learn. There's an imperative to get going quickly and be able to play some tunes that are fun. That's the whole point of this thing, really. And anybody watching is probably a fan of New Orleans piano. So we're not going to do nursery rhymes or boring stuff. We're going to be playing some pretty hip, learning to play some pretty hip tunes, which are very simple. And that's a very important thing to remember with music. That some of the best stuff is the simplest stuff. It doesn't have to be hard to be good. And that's really why I started the first lesson with Bill Withers doing Lean on Me. And I love Bill Withers because he was not a trained musician. He wasn't a jazz musician. He was very unpretentious. But he wrote songs that touched enough people for them to be enormous hits and perennials, really. So the first thing we started out, I think it's good at the beginning of all these lessons, is to recap, because there is a very linear progression from one thing to the next, and it's an exercise in logic. And really I'm doing this in the way that I learned how to play, because I didn't really have any lessons, and I didn't go to music school. I just kind of figured it out and followed the course of the music that I liked, which was really R&B, you know. And New Orleans R&B can be very complicated, as I said, or it can be very simple. And the simple stuff is the best stuff to start with, so you don't get put off. And we started with one finger at a time with Lean on Me. And I'm just going to briefly recap. Some people might find this boring because they've already got it. Other people might still be trying to get a handle on some of these things. And you can go back and listen to the previous lessons. They're all up there on Facebook or YouTube, I think. If you go to the website, if you click on the thing, there's it gives you the option to subscribe to the, I don't know what you call it really. I guess it's supposed to be a fan club, but do that because I'm going to be doing some supplemental things, I think, which you'll be able to get, and they'll be free. And there's ringtones and all that sort of stuff, so it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. All right, let's get straight to it. Just go briefly over what we've done. One finger at a time, Lean on Me to start with. Chord. Then with the finger on the bass, and then with 2 fingers on the octaves. Can keep playing that, you know the melody. Octaves. An octave is the distance between C and the next C. And here's another C, and here's another C, and here's another C. And the main point I'm making is there's 88 keys, and that can look quite daunting. You don't have to think in terms of 88 keys. You just have to think in terms of the distance between C, for example, here, and the next C, each of which lie to the left of the two black notes. You can see the pattern. That just repeats. So anything you do here can be repeated up and down the keyboard and stretched out. So a chord, the chord is C. It's called C major. And once you're playing octaves in the left hand, an octave because it's 8 notes, like octopus, octagon. And here are the 2 other notes of C. That's the chord. And you can play this bass line. And this is one of the basic Lego blocks of New Orleans rhythm and blues piano, a la Fats Domino and Smiley Lewis and Professor Longhair and Alan Toussaint, Dr. John, Toots Washington. They all played this at some point or another, this thing here. See how I'm going? Now this is going to be hard for some people. Because it requires left-right hand coordination. So just slow it right down so that it's like this. And then you change chord to F. See where that is? Relative position of your fingers is the same. If your fingers were like rigid and set in position, you could just shift the whole thing down, and there it is. And the 3 chords you require for the blues, in this instance in the key of C, are C, F, and G. You see how these are all on the white notes? That's why we're starting in this key. There are other keys which have different shapes, but this is a good key to start with because it allows you to play straight away. So you can play, well, every day and every night. So I'll wait for you to ride. Every day and every night. Oh, baby. I'll wait for you to ride. Since you've been gone, that's G. I'm all alone. These 3 notes make up the chord of C. It's called a triad. This is 3 notes. But if you're playing this pattern, 2, 3, 1, it's also using 3 in a entirely different context, rhythm, not harmony. So that's called a triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So then you can play I Hear You Knocking using the same chords. I Hear You Knocking was a local hit in New Orleans for Smiley Lewis in about 1956, I guess, and then Fats Domino had a much bigger hit with it, the same song. And the Fats Domino version is in C, so if you look that up on YouTube, you can play along. You went away, left me alone time ago, and here you are back knocking on my door. I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. Go back where you've been. And back to the beginning. You told me way back in 53. So okay, so we've covered chords, triplets, some rhythm, some left-hand coordination. And then last week, I showed you that by changing one note of this chord, you can go from C major to a chord which has a melancholy quality to it, which is called C minor, by taking this note in the middle and flattening it. When you flatten something, you go down one note. If you sharpen it, you go up one note. So we're going to flatten the third 1, 2, 3 note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the major scale of C. Here's the chord of C. We're going to flatten that note, and it sounds like this. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. G minor. And that house just ain't no home. F minor. Anytime she goes away. So that's C major. That's C minor. The Fats Domino and Professor Longhair tunes we were just playing had G major, but we're going to make this G minor. So we do the same thing. You flatten this, and that's how you get G minor. And so if you do this, so C major to make it C minor, and you do this to G major to make it G minor, then what do you do to this to make it F minor? You drop that, you flatten that note. So Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone has C minor, it has G minor, and remember this is also G minor, so is that, and then you have F minor. Once again, C minor, G minor, and F minor. Once again, to show you how we got here, we started with C major. We flattened this note here and made it C minor. And now we're doing the same thing. There's G major, there's G minor, there's F major, there's F minor. So Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone's got 3 chords. And do the same thing as we did in the other songs. Let's put the bass to it. So you play a C for the C minor, you play a G for the G minor, and you play an F for the F minor. And that sounds good, but you can make it sound much more better if you play 2 C's in the bass. 2's better than 1. So you play C here with your thumb, stretch them with your pinky, get that C that's down here too. This is C, this is C, this is C. So you can play 2 together, or if you want to be real. Sometimes when you're starting, the further apart your hands are, the more complicated it is. But to play what sounds good to you. I like this one best. It's a big chord, you can just let that ring out. And if you're playing a piano or an electric piano with a pedal, start getting used to using the foot pedal. If you play the chord, then press the pedal down, you can take your fingers off and it still keeps ringing. That's quite handy when you're going from one chord to the next, because usually if you don't use the pedal, when you move your hand, the music stops. But if you use the pedal, now move to the next position, and then play the next chord and take the foot off the pedal, put it back on, and now hit the chord, take your foot off the pedal at the same time, and then put it back on, and now you get a seamless transition. Well, that's hold on, take a sip of tea here.
your stride here,
No.
but a few people have asked, Scott Blasco and Britton Troy Succotash said, do you have any tips on building hand independence? You might want to repeat it just in case you can't hear me.
Questions come in. Do I have any tips on building hand independence? It'll just come just through playing, and you do everything one step at a time. As I said earlier, there's a very linear evolution to this, and you can't run before you can walk. And so, the example I used earlier on of playing. That's a good one. There's another one. Okay, here's a good one for you. Before we get on to the next thing, which is going to be transposition, here's a good one for you. There's a Fats Domino tune called Let the Four Winds Blow. And there's a Professor Longhair song called No Buts, No Maybes. There's a bunch of them that have this kind of groove. This is hand coordination, if you like. So C in the right hand, and in the left hand, you can play it with one finger if you like, one note to start off with. So you're playing C and a G. And if at first it's confusing trying to remember which note is which, there's nothing wrong with taking a pencil and writing. You have to do it a few times. C. You can just rub it off with an eraser, and you can write G. Yeah, I'll do it just down here. Do it up in that bit. Otherwise, if you do it right here, then you'll wipe it off with your finger. Just take a pencil and write C and G to remember. And you play the C chord and go. That in itself sounds boring, but doing that same thing and then do it in F and then do it in G and then you go, well, let the four winds blow, let them blow, let them blow, from the east to the west, I love you the best. Two hands, let the wind blow, I use the pedal to let it blow, then look to the south, and Professor Longhair. Hey baby, no buts and no maybes, honey, you drive me crazy. Oh, what am I trying to do? Honey, I ain't got no more money. Lately you've been acting funny. I can't get along with you. Well, now look at her. She ain't got no hair. Oh, look at there. Show me that girl here. Oh, look at there. She ain't got no hair. Oh, look at there. She ain't got no hair. There's a few of them actually that have that groove. If you use the pedal and you get a bit more fancy with it, you can play. It sounds really good. It's the same basic principle. That was the very basic version. But if then you add some embellishments and some colors, you get. Now look at that. She ain't got no hair. Now look at that. Show me this girl's hair. Oh, look at that. She ain't got no hair. Oh, look at that. She ain't got no hair. So you can see you can get really complicated with it, but in essence, and this is the bit you need, is don't try and run before you can walk, and it's all right to take baby steps when you're starting out. So that'd be one very basic way to start getting coordination, and do it slowly, and try and get it. Just do it over and over and over again, and look up No Buts, No Maybes. Look up Let the Four Winds Blow by Fats Domino, or the original version by Bobby Mitchell, who was a nice guy. Bald head, yeah. Lucky there she ain't got no hair. It's called bald head. And play them slowly, but try and do it every day, even if it's just for a minute, because it's by repetition that you learn these things. And you'll start to find at some point that your muscle memory is kind of taking over, and there's a point where it'll start to groove. When you start doing it, it's not going to groove all that great. It's going to feel strange, but it's going to, when it grooves, it swings. And that's all to do with how hard you're hitting, and you're playing a little bit behind or a little bit after the beat. That's cool. Like that. The second one is a little bit louder than the first one. On the piano, when you hit a little bit harder, it not only is louder, it has a slightly different timbre or tone. It's got a bit more bollocks to it. So there's one example of what you can do. So we were talking about minor chords. I'm playing Ain't No Sunshine. For me, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. That's a bit high to sing. And sometimes it's too high. You think, well, okay, I need to play it lower. All right, now how do I play it lower? That's called transposing. That's when you go from one key to a key that's lower or to a key that's higher. And Bill Withers wrote this song not in C minor, the way we were just learning it, but he played it in A minor. Well, all right, well, let's start A minor. Cool, all right, well, how did you start with this? Well, I've written on the keys here, C, that's G. So C, B, A, it's alphabetical. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. A, there's the note of A. And we want A minor. Well, all right. So how do you find A minor? Well, I'll tell you the easiest way. We already know where C minor is. And this is an exercise in very simple logic, which you're going to be employing all the way through if you keep doing this. If that's C minor, then if you flatten each note of that chord, it'll sound like that. And so that's B minor. And there's B. A, B, C. That's B. If you go down one more, that's B flat. You're going to go to B flat. And all we're doing is we're flattening each note of the chord. So that's B flat minor. Now we're going to go down one more and flatten this note, flatten this note, flatten this note. And now we're in A minor. So that's how we just found A minor. We started with C minor. We went logically down to B minor, to B flat minor, to A minor. Now, A minor, let's put an A on the bass. Let's put the octave, so it sounds nice and big. If you want to go an octave lower, it's the lowest note on the piano. That sounds really good. And the three chords you need to play Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone in this original key of A minor are A minor, this one, E minor, and this one, which is D minor. And in this instance, this is very easy because, like C, F, and G, we're just using the white notes, skipping every other note, and playing a triad, a minor triad. This is where we start out with C major. Interestingly, when you go here, the shape you're playing is A minor. You know it's A minor because it sounds sad. If it was A major, it would sound like this. So it's A minor, and you've got the pencil note so you can figure out C, D, E. Same thing, so that's E minor, C, D, so that's D minor. So practice the chords we've learned. We've learned C, F, and G major. And now we've learnt A minor, E minor, and D minor. And what we've essentially done is we're playing all these chords. They're all the same chords you use when you're playing Lean on Me. So all these things are interconnected. A minor. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. A minor to E minor. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Lord, this house just ain't no D minor. No home anytime she goes to A minor. Do it one more time. Till it was time when she's gone. Use the foot pedal. I guess that's better she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. There's the song in its most basic form. And I'm going to leave you with, I'll play a few more bars of the song and show you how you can do it, how it can be developed. And this is where you start playing bass lines and you're still working within the same framework. I'm not expecting you to play it like this, but it's just to give you an indication of where you can go to once you've got a handle on this. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. I wonder this time when she's gone. Plenty of stuff to work with. I see people are sending in questions. Send in as many questions as you like. There's different people out here doing this, and some people already know some stuff. Some people are literally starting with one finger. And so if you have any questions or want me to look at greater length at a particular detail we've touched on, then go ahead, send in a message. Subscribe on the link that's at the top of the page, and at some point when I get round to it, when I've finished working on my other project, which is a new record, I think I'm going to do some specific exercises to go along with these that you can play along to, because the thing is you just got to do it over and over and over again by repetition, and kind of play in parrot fashion. It's a good way to get started. See you next Saturday, or actually see you on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Central Time, which is New Orleans time. I don't know what time that is in Plovdiv, but you can easily look that up if you're looking from Plovdiv. Where is Plovdiv, I hear you ask. And Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, Thursday at 1 Central Time here in New Orleans for regular quarantini sessions where we basically talk about music and details of stuff a bit more advanced. And then next week for more piano lessons. And do this every day for 2 or 3 minutes. Twice a day, 3 times a day for several hours. Set your alarm clock for 4 o'clock in the morning. Get up and do it for about 6 hours and go back to bed, then get up again immediately and do it again. And then that way you'll be playing Lean on Me like a professional within about 7 years. All right, next time.